don't remember exactly when I met Volker. It was probably in the early 70s. And when I met him, I wasn't really sure about him because I had known a lot of German farmers in the part of Kansas where I grew up, and they weren't very accepting of uppity women.
I first met Volker in the early 1980s. He came with his German accent and his Berkeley attitude, right out of Berkeley. For friends and foes alike, Volker told you what he thought, and he told you what he thought of what you thought.
One particular time, I noticed the phone rang, I looked down, I saw Volker's number, so when I answered the phone, I said, "Guten Abend." And on the other end of the line, Volker said, "Ah, you speak beautiful German." I said, "Well, no, not really." He said, "Well, since you do, I need to teach you more German. And one of the things I need to teach you is how to say my name." I said, "Oh, okay, Volker." "No, it's Volker." I said, "Volker." He said, "No, Volker." I said, "Volker." He said, "Ah, it's beautiful German." So I decided to push back a little bit and said, "Well, you know, Volker, it'd be a lot easier if you didn't have such an accent." "I do not have an accent." I said, "Oh, really?" "I do not." And you know, I really think he believed that.
But I found that I was worrying for nothing. And he became one of the most interesting and dedicated people into saving not just agriculture in the valley, but the valley as a whole.
Volker is part of the pantheon of those who have helped to protect the Napa Valley stretching back 50 years, including Dorothy Erskine, Jack Davies, and of course Cy and June Foote, who started the Land Trust. And Volker was right in the middle of all that.
Time with Volker was always interesting. Whether it was sending him 65 pages of a fax when we were trying to protect grazing land in South County, and him receiving it on his thermal fax machine, or guiding him through the nuance of his iPad and learning the technology so he could get beyond the thermal fax phase. It was always fun, always interesting, always challenging.
I was thinking of some words to describe Volker, and a few came to mind, you know, intelligent, passionate, dedicated, but I think another one is sly. He always had kind of another idea in mind or a secret path of a way to get people to do something without completely divulging it in the beginning, but he always had that twinkle in his eye, and he had a plan, and he eventually got what he wanted.
Work with Volker was a surprise. We never knew what was in his mind, who he was collaborating with, how he was going to attack the problem that he saw coming at us. He was brilliant.
I always felt like he was a friend, that when we sat down together, we weren't just talking as people with opinions, but we were speaking one person to another as friends with a mutual passion for this valley and for the causes that we talked about.
Volker in this valley was a leader. To many ways, he was a hero to me, and he was a friend.
While he set a high bar and he expected people to make hard decisions, to make hard choices, he too did that he felt so strongly about his beliefs in protecting agricultural lands that he took steps to preserve his own agricultural property to make sure that it would remain in agriculture forever.
He helped us to develop the Napa Green program, something very positive where everybody sat down and worked together on something proactive and good that we could agree upon.
Volker was a member of the Glassing Wing Action Team, and he brought that same passion for preserving agriculture, the land, to keeping out a pest that threatens agriculture as well.
We were talking about designations and zoning, and I made a statement about zoning that I don't even remember, but Volker's immediately responded with, "Alan, don't be stupid." I said, "Volker, I wasn't really trying to be stupid, but enlighten me." So he went on to explain to me what the issue was with my statement.
Yes, Volker had a way of asking questions like, "What were you thinking?" and things like that.
After 6 or 7 years, it finally clicked to me when I heard a story about Volker fighting against a motorcycle park near his house because he didn't think it was appropriate to develop up on 128. And when I read that, I immediately knew what Volker meant by don't be stupid.
In '72, I was involved with my first political activity here when I organized the neighborhood within a 6-mile circle or 7-mile circle to fight a proposed motorcycle park. And of course it was denied 5-0. But they appealed to the Board of Supervisors. And at the Board of Supervisors, several months later, we won 4-1 on a Tuesday. The following Saturday, the motorcycle park was in operation. And that's what got me into politics. And we would write to county council and we would get letters back. There is no evidence for anything, this kind of stuff. I'd never heard of anything like this in my life. I didn't know America that well. And then I ran into John Tudor one night during the gas crisis in '73 at Fast Gas in Napa. I said, John, what do we do? How do we get rid of this terrible supervisor? And John Tudor said to me the famous words, find a candidate. That's what I've been doing ever since. And we found a candidate and we killed the supervisor. But in between, we did the following. There was a tree on the corner of Lower Charles Valley Road and Highway 128. And in that tree was a 4x8 sign, plywood sign, but the motorcycle park. So in those days, we hit this big old Buick. We stopped there. Liesel climbed into the tree. She tore off the sign, put it in the trunk. We drove down to the county building. I took the sign, went upstairs and put it on county council's desk, and I said, here's your evidence. And that's when they finally did the injunction.
Lots of people get involved with a lot of fire in these kind of events, and then they fade. But Volker never faded with his interest and his involvement through, 30 years.
Volker was a man of great passion. He lived a life worth imitating.
He taught me to enjoy more than anything else what you do. If you enjoy what you do, if you live life to the fullest, you will succeed, you will leave a legacy. And to Volker, we thank you for your legacy.
One day, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to go to hearings. I'm not going to make telephone calls. I don't want to do this. I'd rather go to the opera. But don't put words in my mouth. Before you publish anything, let me see it.